The fifth generation of mobile networking is here and getting more prominent by the day, despite the ongoing pandemic and the recent unsubstantiated rumors about the dangers of 5G. With the rise in remote working in 2020 and into 2021, the rollout of 5G network coverage may come faster than we'd anticipated as more activities move online. Already, all three of the major service providers have rolled out their nationwide networks and are set to expand and improve their 5G rollout over the next few years. 5G could eventually change the way we use technology. But is it really worth upgrading to a 5G phone? It's time to find out what you need to know about 5G technology and see if it's really everything it's cracked up to be. We've looked at how fast 5G is before, but there isn't a specific network speed we can expect. Instead, think of 5G as offering a speed range, and the actual speeds you get will depend on what wireless network you're connecting to, how busy it is, what device you're using, and a few other factors. This table gives you a rough idea of the maximum speeds of each generation of cellular network technology and the average speeds in the real world. Perhaps the average speed row above is more important than the max speed column, considering the fact that the peak speed here is theoretical, and you'll probably never really hit those download speeds. The topic is also complicated by the variety of different technologies that are used in each generation, geographical differences in coverage, and by the fact that the mobile technology continues to evolve and improve over time. For example, 4G has improved significantly over its lifetime with the development of LTE and then LTE. You can theoretically get up to 1 gigabit per second with the latest 4G LTE developments, which is in the range of what 5G delivers. The average speeds you get in the real world will inevitably be much lower. To put that speed into some kind of context, 1 gigabit per second is 1000 megabits per second. Confusingly, megabits are different from megabytes. There are 8 megabits in a megabyte. So, 1 gigabit per second translates to 125 megabytes per second. An MP3 file might be 5 megabytes, while a TV episode might be 350 megabytes, and a Blu-ray movie will be 15 gigabytes or more. If you actually have a 1 gigabit per second connection, you could potentially download a full HD Blu-ray quality movie in 2 minutes. If you actually have a 1 gigabit per second connection, you could potentially download a full HD Blu-ray quality movie in 2 minutes. While 4G technology is still improving, what you get is, realistically, somewhere between 10 megabits per second and 50 megabits per second. If we look at Netflix recommendations for streaming speeds, it recommends 25 megabits per second for Ultra HD quality. You only need 5 megabits per second for HD. The aim with 5G is to hit 50 megabits per second as an average minimum. However, right now the minimum is quite a bit lower, and the average sits around 57 megabits per second, according to SpeedCheck. It's always nice to have faster speeds, but that's not really the big attraction with 5G because 4G speeds are already pretty good. What 4G is not that great with is latency. Latency is the time it takes for data from your device to be uploaded and reach its target. It measures the time it takes for data to go from source to destination in milliseconds. It's very important for applications like gaming, where response time can have an impact on the outcome. It could also prove vital for self-driving cars if data is being transmitted to the cloud, and quick decisions can trigger a reaction to brake or avoid an obstacle in real time. With existing 4G networks, you are looking at an average latency of around 50 milliseconds. That could drop to 1 millisecond with 5G technology. Just to give that some context, it takes at least 10 milliseconds for an image seen by the human eye to be processed by the brain. Low latency is vital for real-time reactions in machines or cars, and lower latency could also make cloud gaming possible. Gamers could play via their phones on remote hardware, as services like Google Stadia and Blade's Shadow are suggesting. A 1 millisecond latency is what you can aspire to, as it's possible in near-perfect scenarios. The average latency you can expect on 5G will likely be around 10 milliseconds. Reduced latency could prove to be the real driver for 5G deployment and adoption, but there are many challenges ahead. It has taken years for 4G networks to spread across the world, and there are still plenty of rural areas relying on 3G networks. Even where there is 4G coverage, the speeds vary quite widely. We expect the full rollout of 5G networks to take a while. However, all three major carriers have made some pretty big advancements in 5G coverage over the past few months. All three of the major carriers now offer nationwide networks based on the sub-6 spectrum and are set to build out those networks with other spectrum and wide coverage over the next year. For the uninitiated, 5G is built with a full array of different radio frequencies. Sub-6 refers to frequencies under 6 GHz, and these waves can generally travel long distances but can't support ultra-high download speed. On the other end of the 5G spectrum is mmWave, which offers a huge advantage in terms of download speed but can't travel far or penetrate obstacles. Initially, Verizon employed mmWave for its 5G network, and as such you could only really connect to Verizon 5G in some areas of some cities. Thankfully, the company now uses Sub-6 for its nationwide mobile network, which is something T-Mobile did from the beginning. For us to take advantage of 5G connectivity, we don't just need carriers to put network equipment in place. We also need to buy a 5G device, like the Motorola Edge Plus. If you've picked up one of the latest 5G handsets, you may be able to enjoy 5G speeds, depending on where you live. But if your mobile phone is older, you'll need to consider upgrading if you want this faster speed. The first batch of 5G smartphones is here, and there are already some great choices available, like the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G or the OnePlus 8 Pro. It's also worth noting that 5G is likely to be much more demanding in terms of power than so battery life, which is already an issue for many, could be about to get worse. Many of us still rely on 3G when a 4G network isn't available, and that's exactly what will happen with 5G. The idea that 5G is a direct replacement for 4G is erroneous. In fact, it's a complementary technology. With the two working in tandem, you should be able to get good, or at least decent, speeds on your mobile device wherever you are. It's also important to remember that carriers continue to upgrade 4G networks, and that both download speeds and latency can be improved further. Even though carriers are spending more time and resources on 5G wireless technology, 4G networks will likely continue to improve, resulting in faster speed across the board.